I hope it's as beautiful a day where you are as it is here in West Lothian. It's a beautiful sunny Saturday afternoon. In fact, I'll maybe move this a bit because I think the sun's going to maybe shine and create patterns, rainbow patterns over my face. So it's a beautiful Saturday afternoon, as I say, and my mind's actually going back to a prophetic word that Alan Ross, who some of you may know, just a lovely Christian guy here in Scotland, a wonderful prophetic ministry and a teaching ministry as well. He gave me a word before I went to Canada about layers, that when I was in Canada, different layers of God's purpose in my life would somehow just fall into place with one another. It reminded me of a poem that I like, and I'd forgotten about it, but I looked it up when I got back, and you'll need to forgive me. It's called Layers. I've no idea how to pronounce the name of the poet. I probably should know. He's probably well known. But it's Stanley Kunitz or Kunitz, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. But it's a wonderful poem that he's got. And as I say, it's called Layers, and basically, so I don't have to read the whole poem, he's looking back over the course of his life, and it's a bit melancholic because he sees the past stretching into the horizon, and he sees various campsites and campfires as he looks into the horizon of the past, just representing different episodes in his life, I guess, and different relationships, and it's almost as though all he can see is wreckage, and it is a bit melancholic, and it seems to be about loss and how can our hearts be reconciled to their losses and so on. And that's a good thought actually in itself. But all of a sudden he hears a voice just in the midst of that fairly dark outlook. And this is what the voice says to him. I'll just read it. It says, "Live in the layers, not on the litter." Live in the layers, not on the litter. I wonder if you look back in your life, perhaps you're a bit melancholic today because all you're seeing is litter. He sees particularly the litter of friendships that perhaps didn't come to all that he'd hoped they would come to. But there can be a litter of various types as we look into the horizon and the various campfires of our past, and perhaps that's a word from God for you, to live in the layers and not on the litter. In other words, look back through the eyes of a God of mercy, and what you'll be most aware of is that it's His mercy that has brought you through all these campfires, whether the campfires are remembered as times of goodness, of fellowship, of fun, or whether there are some more destructive scenes that come to mind, and scenes of loss. Paul said that he didn't look back, but actually he did. What he meant was he didn't get stuck in the past. But he could look back in his past, and when he looked back, he saw the destructiveness actually of his own life. But he chose to look back through the eyes of the God who had saved him. And instead of focusing on the litter, he saw in the layers the mercy of God. I guess Joseph was the same. In his case, it wasn't so much his own sin, though he was a bit foolish in the way that he boasted before his brothers of his gifting and his calling. That was foolish and immature. But he was more sinned against than sinning. He was more victim than villain in the story, I believe. But there came a day when he could look back at the litter caused by other people in his story. And as he looked back through the eyes of a God of sovereignty and providence, whose purposes cannot be thwarted according to Job. It's about the one true thing that Job said. When he looked back through these eyes, he was able to say, God meant it for good. Are you living on the litter of the past? Or are you living in the layers of a God of sovereignty and grace and purpose? To me, the Lord's almightiness means his purposes cannot be thwarted, regardless of what you do, regardless of what others have done to you. So it's part of being human, I think, to look back. But I hope that by the help of God and the help of his Spirit, as you do, you might see the litter. Some of it is unavoidable, it's real and it happened, and there's no denying it. But don't focus on the litter. Live in the layers of the purpose of an almighty God who loves you. And as I've said before, quoting David Smith, who was once in St. Michael's the Belfry, he said, this is the good news, that God through Jesus can make us the people we're always meant to be before circumstances or we ourselves or other people messed it up. That's wonderful good news. And I hope it will bless you as you think of it. So God bless.